Ready? So I'm just gonna warn you, if you are a psychic or label yourself as a psychic, because I feel like we're all psychic in some ways. If you label yourself as a psychic, or if you read Akashic records, or if you do any of the other things I said in this may trigger you, but I still want you to listen because there's a valuable message in this. And I am a mentor, obviously. I may be called a coach to some, but this is so important for people who give their power away to other human beings, regardless of their labels. And that's why this is such an important message. Now, it's not that I do not believe that we can use these tools and these resources and these other fantastic humans to help us with just deciphering and navigating and having fun even. Like, who has gone out with their girlfriends and maybe you went out and you were having beers or having cocktails or doing whatever you're doing and you stop and see a psychic? Like, has anyone done that? I have. And it was an interesting experience, but that was fun. But I know people that I work with, and there's women that I talk to, and they take this stuff so seriously that they forget their own inner authority. And that's what this is all about. Reclaiming your own power, reclaiming your own ability to be your own guru. So what does that even mean, right? And you guys all know Tony Robbins' whole thing, I am not your guru. And it's true, because the guru is just like dispelling light. You have to learn how to be your own light dispeller, right? To get rid of all this stuff and to change your state and to step up and claim your power and be like, I am the leader of my life. And I'm a mentor, but I don't tell anyone what to do because I don't know what's best for you. How the hell am I going to know what's best for you? I'm not you. I haven't looked through life through your lens. I didn't have your life experience. There's no way on earth that I could tell you exactly what's right for you. And there were times in my life where I thought maybe I did. I would watch other people's relationships. I would watch other people's stuff, and we see that all the time. How many of you on this live stream with me have listened to someone's story and you're like, I know what's better. I know what they should be doing. They should be doing this. They should be doing that. They should stop that. We think we know, but we don't know because we have no idea what the lessons and the blessings and everything else that they're to see and to feel and hear in all of this. So what I find is that too many people are giving their power away to these things, right? Like, there was a time in my life where I forgot my citrine crystal. I used to carry crystals with me all the time, like in my bra, in my pocket, and I left my citrine crystal at home, which is my wealth crystal at home, and I was having a freak out. I thought, if I don't have this freaking crystal in my pocket, like, I'm going to go broke today. There's no way I'm going to be creating all this wealth that I want without the crystal. And it's funny because I don't know where that crystal is now, and I have more money than ever. But like, it's like when I let go of giving my power away to all of these things, I end up having more. I was creating more. I was stepping into my own creative power more. So I was talking to a client today, and she brought this up, and I said, it's so funny that you brought this up about, I think she brought up Akashic records, but I have had this thing going on in my mind about psychics for like 3 days, but I just didn't feel like it was bubbling up enough to be a live stream yet. And today I was like, I have to make this live stream because I believe this, that you already know. You already know. You don't know this, but you're a freaking psychic, okay? Like, I didn't know. And if you're someone that labels yourself as anxiety or depression or any of these things, you're more intuitive and tuned in than you even know, right? Like, I was always feeling like I was judging myself as being broken or something was wrong because I was so sensitive and I was feeling down. I was feeling the pain of the people around me. I was feeling the pain of the world around me. And I didn't realize that I had this, like, pretty much a superpower, and that a lot of you women have it too, but we label it as something wrong, and we label it as like we need help. So we give our power away to therapists and psychics and whatever it is, and we ask them, help us, show me what's right for me. And a lot of the times we just are not courageous enough in this time that we go out seeking this to really sit down, to ask the questions. And here's the key: to trust ourselves. Can you trust yourself? So how many of you guys that are on this live stream with me, all of you fantastic ladies, are label yourself as, or let's not even call it as a label, but are really sensitive, empathic, and you've been called overly emotional, or you've had anxiety, or maybe you thought you were depressed before. If you've done that, say hi or yes. Yes, let's say yes, right? Chloe, creating space to create. Heather, yes, I'm learning my sensitivity. Anxiety is an actual gift. It is such a gift, guys. Trust me when I say this. It may not feel like it now, but it is such a gift. Lauren says, yes, sensitivity, super skills. Heather, my husband asked me to tone it down. Men are freaked out by this because, look, ladies, how incredible is it that we're so powerful that we hang out with a group of women and all of our cycles change? We start bleeding at the same time. That means we have the power to procreate at the same damn time of the month. How powerful is that? Like, I don't even get us. I don't even get us. All I know is I love us and that we're awesome, but it's so incredibly powerful. And we forget how powerful we are. And we sometimes tend to give our power away. And we look for other people who have owned their powers and said, yes, I am a psychic. Yes, I am a medium. Yes, I am this. And because of that, we've given away that power. But all we have to do to regain it is to claim it. To claim it and not be afraid of being weird. So wait, let's go back. Okay, so Marissa, Sarah, Chris say, yes, I'm super sensitive and I've been labeled as this overly emotional, depressed, or anxious before. Chloe says, I've been clinically depressed in the past, and yes, anxiety has been reframed as a gift. Chloe, yes, me too. I was actually labeled clinically depressed, panic disorder, and what I was realizing is like all these things that I hated and I was trying to kill away, it was my gift, and now that's why I'm incredibly empowered, but I also have to be mindful of where I spend time. I can't go, like my friend and I were talking about going to this reggae fest tomorrow, and we're going out tonight, and when you're going out to a place where there's a lot of drinking or drug use or things like that, the frequency is low. The frequency is definitely lower than, let's say, if you go to Tony Robbins' event or to a yoga festival or a Wanderlust, right? That's just the way it is, guys. We can rationalize it all we want, but we're talking science here, frequencies. So we have to be mindful of what is going to affect us. And if you're really sensitive and if you feel people, places where people are very unconscious, like going to a rally, things like that, you can pick up on a lot. I've been picking up a lot for the animals that are suffering, and it really hurts. But I know that it's because I'm meant to share. Jen says, hi, Jen. She says, I'm so intuitive. And ladies, this is the point of this, is that we're all very intuitive. And the first step is us claiming it and not labeling it as weird or an issue or something that's freaky, and stop giving our power away only to other people. There are people that are more tuned in than you are right now to your own power, because you've been giving your power away maybe for your entire lifetime, right? So you may think as like there's only like 5 psychics on this planet and they're like the special people and they have the answers to your life that you don't have access to. I'm going to say this right now and it's going to piss off the other psychics. Bullshit. It's bullshit. You have the answers for your life. You have the answers for your life. No one else does. It doesn't mean that you can't ask for support and guides and to have this support. But here's the point of this. It's to not give your power away and wait for someone else to give you permission. So I'm going to share a real life client story that happened today and what brought this out. Chloe, you're so beautiful. Love you, Nicole. You're so sweet. Thank you. Love you too, love. So listen to this story so you guys can really solidify what happened, and then you'll understand why I'm feeling this way. Heather, yes, absolutely. Reminder to claim it, and we're going to be working together for the next 6 months, so you're going to be tuned into this, right? My client today, she's tiptoeing around being a healer or claiming herself as a healer and standing in that power of being a healer. And she said, yeah, well, you know what happened? Like, we were talking about something else, and she said, going back to what that woman said, the woman that reads Akashic Records, she said she feels that I'm a healer. And I said, you know what? That Akashic Records woman doesn't have to tell you that. She doesn't know you. We, of course, pick up on things. When we're tuned in, we pick up on things. Like, there's women that I see women all the time, and I'm like, this woman should be working with me, because if she was working with me, we could solve this and we could dissolve that. And I feel that there's barriers, but at the end of the day, only they know what's best for them, right? So she was saying that, and I said, why are you giving this woman the permission and the power? That's something only you can give yourself. So sometimes, because we don't want to step into it and say it, we're like, yeah, but the psychic told me. Yeah, but the past life regression told me this. The Akashic record person told me that. The oracle cards told me this. we forget that, hello, you can tell yourself that. Close your eyes, take some deep breaths, ask the scary questions, and be willing to see what's there. Let me read these questions or comments. And if you guys have ever experienced this, share it with me. I love this, and I think this is, in this Facebook Live, we have so much power coming together as women that are saying, I'm reclaiming my power. I understand that I know the answers for myself. I understand that I know the truth for me. I'm going to stop saying things like, I don't know and I have no idea, when you have all the ideas and you know all of it, right? Jennifer, I think this is what the universe is teaching me right now today. I've had some insane things unfold today, and it all has to do with this stuff. And how funny that I'm making this video, because here's what I believe too, is that, and this has been like proven in quantum physics, and it's in various books and things like that, but in the universal mind, there's constantly a question and an answer. Constant, right? Like all of it's already here for us. So they say that when there are enough people asking a question, that the answer comes through the capable vehicle. So, and this like is an example. Jen's like going through this thing, questions are coming, and then this comes, and now this is here. So I know that was a lot of information, but Lauren, yes, I give myself permission to be intuitive, to be sensitive, and to be a healer. Yes, yes, yes. And just giving ourselves permission, right? It's like, I've caused so much pain in my own life and other people's lives that I thought that I was broken forever and just like a piece of shit person. And to get to the point where I can say, I'm a healer, but I'm not only a healer, everyone's a healer. It hasn't been an overnight thing. It wasn't even a 1 year or 5 year thing. It was like more like a 6 year, 7 year thing. But the beautiful thing is this, that as women, when we're willing to recognize that all of us are divine, all of us are gifted, all of us are of one source. So therefore, while some people may be more attuned to their gifts, and because they're nurturing it, right? And I promise you this, just like I said in my masterclass, and if you guys haven't gotten onto that masterclass, check out that meditation. It was so powerful and beautiful. And I'm going to share it today on Facebook, so get it if you haven't. But I was saying that if we all gave ourselves the same respect and time and love and nurturing that we gave like checking Facebook, or we gave checking in with someone we love, or, you know, as women, the same way that we were seeking out other love from a man or a woman, if we actually turned it and gave it back to ourselves, life would transform. We wouldn't even recognize who we are. However, we don't do that. Not the masses don't, but that's the key to mastery and learning to love yourself, because then you recognize, oh yeah, everything I've been looking outward for and giving my power away and telling these people that they had the answers to my life, I recognize I had it all along. So here's the thing. This is not to say that we don't have mentors. People pay me. I love being a mentor. But here's what I tell them. I get their questions all the time, and I say, okay, well, here are the ways you can develop the inner resources so that you can access that wisdom, because only you know. Only you know. We have strategies, I have different tools, but only you know what's right for you, and your path becomes brighter. It's like that quote, I think it's Zig Ziglar quote, that says, go as far as you can see, and then more will be revealed. Because you have a vision. First, you have to give yourself the permission to say, yeah, this vision's mine, and I'm going to say yes to it. Because just like my client who was saying, well, the Akashic Records lady told me that I'm a healer, so it was kind of like she was feeling into that permission, and I saw that, and I said, you know, the first thing starts like this. You have to give yourself permission to be the healer. And then when you do that, more is revealed. You figure out who your next teacher should be, what retreat you should sign up for, the books you should read, how you should show up and share. So we came up with a little action plan of a way that she can express herself in this way of healing. Because guys, you don't have to create a course and start selling coaching programs or mentorship programs or Reiki sessions to be a healer. There's been some healing that happened right now on this call, or on this, I always call these calls, like you guys are, like we're clients here, on this Facebook Live. There's been a level of healing because I have given everyone permission to say, hell yes, I am a sensitive being, and that is my gift. And maybe some of you already know that, and I am honoring you. And then there's some people that have never really thought about it, and now they're like, yeah, you know what? I did give all my power away to that psychic. Here's the thing that scares me with the whole psychic thing, is that there are people who say that they're psychics, and then there are women who are looking so desperately for answers outside of themselves, and then that just creates a lot of mess. That creates a huge mess. Now, there are people that are tuned in and that it's beautiful to get information from them. So that's a different thing. The other thing is when you're so anchored in your truth and then you go and you seek out someone else just to give you some feedback, and then you sit with it and figure out, does that feel right for me? What can I extract from this reading that really feels good to me and that I can take on in my life? You know, because people outside of us can see things that we can't see sometimes. But there has to be this level of self-trust before you enter into these relationships seeking information and guidance. Otherwise, you don't even know what happens. You start connecting with people that really have no business doing what they're doing and selling what they're selling. And you may start navigating your life around something that is not even true for you. And so I tell you guys, as I asked in the beginning, which one of you guys has gone to a psychic out when you're like out on the boardwalk with your friends or walking through the city with your friends? I can think about my girlfriend and I, Renee. She's actually going to Peru with me next week. We're walking through Philadelphia. We're like around Rittenhouse Square, and we're like, let's go to a psychic. We walk into this psychic's office, and she's literally smoking a cigarette and talking on the phone and look like we were just bothering her. And I'm like, I'm not letting that woman's energy anywhere near mine. Let's get the hell out of here. And we left. Right? So it's like, there's that happening, right? Like, we don't know. And I'm the same way with Reiki, because I don't want people touching all up in my energy field unless they are free themselves and they've been doing a lot of work on themselves. So it doesn't mean that they wouldn't be tremendous healers for other people, but for where I'm at in my life, I'm looking for a certain thing. So the whole premise of all of this is, are you grounded in your truth enough to know that you are your permission giver and granter, and that you have all that you need, and that from there, everyone else just becomes mirrors for you? So you're not looking for a guide, you're not looking for a map. You know that you are the holder of the map, but you're looking for a mirror or someone to illuminate things for you. That's different, right? So I hope this has helped all of you on some way. If you haven't watched it from the beginning, you can go ahead and check it out from the beginning. If you have friends that do this, like I have, and let me share this one more, is that I know friends that they're like, the psychic told them something, so now they stop doing things and start doing things, and they're like changing all this stuff around. And I'm like, but does it feel good to you? Are you aware? Like, are you really listening? And it's just interesting. So I don't go to psychics right now, and here's why I don't go to psychics. I believe that whether something is true or not, that we're planting it. Think of your consciousness as soil. Your consciousness is soil, and we can plant things in it. In fact, things are being planted in it all day. Right now, I'm planting things in your consciousness. So you guys, I do it with the utmost integrity and with love, right? Because that's why it's very important that I do my work before I come on here just blasting all kinds of stuff, right? Because I understand that I'm planting things in other people's consciousness. And that's why it's so incredibly powerful that we are aware of that, and that before we listen to any sort of music, and that before we go out into any sort of environment, or that we are including ourselves in various groups, that we're mindful of all of this is planting in my consciousness. So when I'm going to a psychic, or my friend has some intuitive woman that she calls in New Orleans, and she loves what she says to her because she tells her all kinds of great stuff. And I say, you know what? I'm willing to just risk it. As my daughter says, risk it for a biscuit, whatever the hell that means. But it's just funny. I'm willing to just risk it and take it on my own, because here's what I think. I don't want this woman saying something to me, and whether it turns out to be true or not, I don't want to planting that seed in my consciousness, because then she tells me I have to watch out for something. The next thing you know, I'm walking about my day having that conversation from the damn psychic in my head, and she doesn't even know me. She doesn't even know me, right? So she could be right. She could be wrong. But to me, I am so adamant about protecting my consciousness, and that's just the way that I show up and live. Not telling you guys that you have to do that, but I just am doing this more of an awareness, because I believe that, hey, the internet is a crazy place. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. And when we are in a time where we are like, something's not working out, there's a job that you really want, or you feel like, oh, I feel like I should let go of an idea, or maybe I should quit this job because I have a business idea. I had calls today from one of my clients. She's like, I have this job, I've been doing it, and it's part-time, it doesn't feel aligned. I feel like I should be doing this other thing. I know you don't have the answer, but I just wanted to know your opinion, like, intuitively what feels. And I share. I'm like, intuitively, this is what I've been feeling about it. But sit with it, because only you know. And that's the freaking power. But then we always have to go back to that to that place, right? Are you aware enough to know what's happening in your emotional, mental, physical bodies? Because if you don't know and you're only living in your head is a crazy place. It's like going into a stadium as like, you know, there's a concert going on. There's so much happening. There's like, you know, hundreds of thousands of different worlds happening in that stadium or wherever it is, some crazy place, and you're trying to decipher it in your mind. You'll get lost. The body has more wisdom, and then your emotions have other wisdom. It's like there's so much to tune into, but if you're only living in your head, then of course you're going to go elsewhere and start looking for other people to give you information that you already have. So anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful. If it was, share it with some people you love, and if you're interested in diving into all of this and really expressing a higher version of you, then come into my expansion group. It's going to be next level. I'm going to Peru, and I'm bringing all of my goodness back from Peru. And 2 days after I get back from Peru, we are diving into this expansion group, and it's going to be 6 months of goodness. And it's going to be tuning in, deeper awareness work, higher impact, more action, but action from the most inspired place. And sometimes your action is just sitting down, being still, asking the questions that will make you cry so that you can move the fuck on. You know, that's really an action too. Jennifer, I had been tapping into this with astrologists, etc., and it's really thrown me off because things are falling apart for me, not coming together, and it's just causing disillusionment. It's forcing me to depend on me and not listen to outside stuff. Yes. And it's like, you guys, you know, there's so much happening in our minds and in our world. Do we really need someone else's stuff? Like just adding more clutter? And this is not to like badmouth anyone's business. I think that there's a time and place. And there's times where we just need support. And if you just need support, then it's worth it. It's totally worth it. But I just ask that everyone move into this with such a strong sense of self, and to just love yourself and trust yourself more than you can love and trust anybody else. Because when you develop that trust, not only in yourself, but in spirit, and in that intuitive nudging that tells you to do this or try that. And maybe you, Jennifer, just going to that astrologer was like part of the lesson, and that's your blessing, is that it pushed you and nudged you into learning to look inside for what you seek, right? And when we do that, it's really powerful. So that's really great. And I would look at that already, I'm seeing that as a blessing. So that's awesome. Rania, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. What made you develop your self-trust? Was there something in particular? Yes, totally not trusting myself and living in extreme self-suffering, and I was actually writing in my book last night, I'm editing a chapter where I was in my first physically abusive relationship, and I saw where I was in that mind of being an abused woman, which in the mind of abused woman, you are so confused because your heart says, I love this person, but they're beating you up and punching you in the face, and you're like, but that hurts, and why would I love someone that does that? And you end up becoming so lost in what's true for you. You don't know what's true for you. And then when you add in cocaine addiction, alcohol addiction, and, you know, a family that actually protects the abusers sometimes, you don't know what the hell's happening. You don't trust yourself. And I'll tell you, you guys know the story that's on my website, and it's a story that I share very often. That was an impetus for my awakening, was when my ex, I left him and he ended up murdering a woman. I have to tell you, my mom still doesn't believe that he did it. And to have someone that you love, and he did do it, trust me, because I have staples that were in my head to prove that he did it. Like, I know him. And obviously he was convicted of it. But my mom has this delusion in her head that he didn't do it. And because she has that, you have to think about what that does for you. And there's people that are in your life very close to you that raised you and that you love very much. You looked up to them for safety your entire life. And they basically go against the things that you believe and fight you and things that matter so much. You don't know what's true. So when that is the truth for you, and that's your reality, I've had tremendous life experience that has qualified me to teach this stuff, right? As you can hear. So, and it wasn't because I was planning on teaching it. It was like, I just wanted to be sane, right? And being sane in this world is different than we actually think it is. And, you know, my teacher always says that is like enlightenment is becoming sane, and just recognizing like that most of what's happening in the masses and the majority and in mass media and on social media is insanity. It's insanity. It's craziness. And we have prescribed to, you know, taking medication to just forget what's happening. So many of the ailments that are happening in our bodies are because we are so disconnected from ourselves and we're living in our head. A Course in Miracles is an excellent book that teaches about that. And actually one of my clients, not the Akashic Records client, another client, her and I were talking this morning, and she was talking about, I was like, she was trying to develop her story. And she said, well, I don't know my story. I have no idea. And I said, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You actually have the idea. It's already here. It's your freaking story. And we go through this process, and then I have her start. I was like, well, what was the starting point for you? What was your rock bottom? What happened? And we both were going into these places where we were both incredibly physically sick. And if I ask any of you ladies that are on here, and there's some men on here, what was that springboard that took you into your spiritual practice or into your healing? It was probably a shitty relationship or physical illness, right? And you could tell me, am I right, or was it something else? I would love to hear you. Tell me in the comments. And for me, it was emotional illness, that emotional pain that I was so used to suffering that it was like the norm, that when it happened in my physical, I couldn't ignore it anymore because I was in the hospital. My credit report, actually, Jen, me too. It was like one led to the other. But like, if you look at like why my credit was effed until just this year, was because I had let this stuff go until I finally fixed the financial stuff. But like, I was healing, and I had to get so many MRIs, CAT scans. Like, I thought I was dying. I was so skinny. I couldn't eat. Like, I was like, I have to have like a terminal illness. There's no way I can feel like this and be not well, and be well. Like, you check for something else. And what it turned out to be is all this stuff that I just shared on this video with you guys, and that I share in my life all the time now. I lied about it. I just hid it, and it was like a shameful thing that I kept away, and I just didn't like myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't trust myself, and I had held all of that away. So stuffing it for so long was manifesting all these physical ailments, and I was shoved into spiritual practice. Like, I never looked at it and thought I want to do it. I thought it was BS. My dad still teases me about this stuff, guys, and I still listen to him. He's like, okay, Tony, this is what my dad, I'm gonna tell you guys this. I'll talk to my dad about a serious conversation. He says, hold on, Tony Roberts is on the other line for you. I'm like, Tony Robbins? So this is my dad. This is the shit that I deal with, guys. So it's just knowing that deep sense of trust. It's just shutting out everyone else and knowing that you are the fucking master of you. Only you. Only you. This doesn't mean that you can't go into having support from other people, because other people can accelerate things from you, but you want to get the right support from people that know that you have the answers. Because if you go to other people that think they have the answers for you, and you're going to start navigating life with all of their crap, and you don't want that. Let's see what some of these people are saying here. And I asked everyone what was the impetus for their spiritual practice. Like, what took you there? And I said shitty relationships, emotional overflow that turned into physical ailments. And Jen said the same thing. Rania said illness, but it was triggered by some relationships, not romantic ones, though. And you guys, you know, all relationships are the same, because when I look at these patterns, and especially, that's what, if you want to write a book, write it, because it will help you heal so many things. But looking back at the book, I was like, oh my God, I had this relationship with my parents, and then when I found another relationship, it mirrored that, right? So it's so interesting. Kaylee, motherhood. Started out as a mindful practice to work on my codependency and reactivity and heal motherhood wounds, and I didn't want to bring into the relationship I had with my daughter. Yes, and I have to say that was a part of mine too. You guys, it's a part of all of our stuff, right? Well, it's like when you have a child, you're like, holy crap, this isn't even just my baggage anymore. I'm about to, like, if I don't act fast, I'm going to give it to my child. And that was something that hit me, that I was like, when I had a little girl, and I knew that my grandmother was abused by my grandfather, my mom was abused by my dad, and then I was getting abused by men, I was like, okay, so obviously she's going to take this on if I don't take it on. But then the physical abuse became more subtle, and then it was emotional abuse, and then it became self-abuse, right? Like, you start looking at, how am I abusing myself? And then that's where we take responsibility for everything. We raise our standards, boundaries are built, and life transforms, really. Chloe, it was emotional pain, so crazy, disconnected from myself, abused by children at school, and as a teenager, food addictions. Actually, I was torturing myself inside. Right? Hi, Kyle. Isn't it crazy that we are like the number one torturer? Like, we're like the number one torturer, because we're not going to accept torture from anyone else or shit from anyone else that we're not going to accept for ourselves. So it's so funny, because when I hang out with from like old friends from like years ago, I start looking at what's happening in their life. And I used to look at it as like, something we all deal with. It's something that we all kind of have, and it just is what it is. And I listen to some of their stuff now, and I'm like, man, I've really raised my standards, and I'm happy that I have. But you stop dealing with stuff because you don't allow it for your own self. Like, you notice how you're talking to yourself. You notice where you're respecting yourself and loving yourself and honoring yourself. And then there's no way in hell, after you do all that work, you're going to let someone else come into your life and try to cross over those boundaries. You're going to say, no, not today, not ever. And that's the magic. And really going back to what we even started with this conversation, with other people coming into our space and giving information into our consciousness and planting those seeds, the more mindful we are and the more aware that we are, then we notice the people that are coming in, and we know who's really real in it and who's not. And when I say that they're not real, it's because sometimes intentions are different, guys. And that's it. So anyway, I'm going to go. But guys, I'm going to share something on my page, and maybe I'll share it here in the comments. I'm going to share the link for yesterday's recording. You don't have to give your email or any of that stuff, or maybe you already have, but I want everyone to listen to it, because I'll tell you, it was one of the most powerful meditations I've ever led. And it was just beautiful. Hey, Brandy. Brandy, you might be interested in this from the beginning. It was actually a really great combo. And I know that you're into some of this stuff. But I was like crying in the meditation yesterday. So many people wrote me today and were like, I was bawling in that meditation. I was crying. But guys, it's beautiful. Because what we called in that meditation, it was a safety, security, unconditional love meditation, and it felt so good. And that's the exact meditation that I do, with a little like twist to it, when I am feeling down or feeling like I don't believe in myself. And that's why it was important that I shared it. And I actually got really a beautiful compliment from one of my friends who's a healer, and she said this, and I'm gonna have to tell him this, but she said, you're gonna give Beckwith a run for his money, because Michael Beckwith is my teacher. So I was laughing, because I was like, that's the best compliment I've ever got. But I was like, obviously he's the bomb and I love him, but we're different. Who knows what I'll be when I'm his age. But it was just such a beautiful experience, because this is what happens, guys, when we just let go. When we just let go and we're like, I don't know why I got called to do this meditation masterclass, but I'm just going to show up and do it and see what happens with it. And then you surrender, you do the work to ground, and you let life come through you. You let the magic happen. So anyway, guys, love you all. Thanks for being on here with me. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.